everybody, my name is Eric. I'm making a game. That game is called the Godkiller. It is a 3D top-down puzzle solving adventure game. Let me practice my pitch a little bit, my elevator pitch. It's a game where oh man, as soon as I started thinking about it, like there was somebody in front of me I had to explain it to. It just made me lock up a little bit. Gotta get used to that. So this is a game where you explore and fight monsters and solve puzzles. There's a story built into the game, no cutscenes, but just a lot of interaction inside the game. But you never stop and talk to anybody. It just happens around you as you do things, expressing your intent inside of the game world. It's got lots of music in it. It's got music built into the engine, so all the sound effects are musical. It feels a little bit like you're playing an instrument while you're moving around. So instead of having real world sounds for things like walking up steps, it's got the sound of cellos playing or a stringed instrument as you walk up. There's going to be a lot of musical parts to it. There's going to be actual singing inside of the game, almost like the game is a musical. But the core of it is you're just solving puzzles, and you press keys to move around, and it is turn-based, except that everything moves after you move, so there's no waiting around. And it has an action feel to it, but you can take as long as you want to issue your commands. All right, that's my pitch. I have to practice on it. You know why? Because I'm coming into sell season. Maybe next year, sometime next year. Or I go and pitch publishers, and I'll see if some kind of deal is there that's worth it. There might not be, and then I'll just kind of keep going on my own, Or it might be that the deal that's there for me is not a good deal. And that doesn't mean that it's necessarily a publisher's fault. It might be that I can see the value of my game better than anybody else can. So these are things that are in my mind a little bit. Demoing. I always like to start with a demo. I gave you a little preamble there. I started talking, but don't like to do too much of that. I like to get right into a demo. What can I demo? Because the stuff I've been doing has been trying to get everything to work on player builds as opposed to inside of the Unity editor. Well, why don't I just demo it running from the player? That's actually kind of nice because it runs better. It runs better from the player. Here's the latest Mac build from last night. Now it's going to go full screen and it'll be cut off a little on the right side, but I don't think it's a big issue or anything. Okay, so the main thing I'm demoing there is loads are fast in the player, very fast. Yeah, it's nice. It almost makes me think I might get away with doing a double load. What I mean is, suppose I made the start of each level load in the level that comes after. No, you know what? That just changes. Never mind. Anyways, it's very happy making for me to see it load that fast. I'm sure on some consoles and stuff it'll load slower. I had to fix player-only bugs. Player, by the way, when I'm talking about player, I don't mean like the player that you control. I mean the Unity player, which is a build that you make from the Unity editor. It creates a player. So there were a number of bugs that would only show up in the player build. I fixed them yesterday. The hand movements weren't going at all, and it was an order of execution difference between the player build and the editor. In the editor, one class would initialize before another, and in the player, it would be switched around. So it suggests a best practice. Don't use those start and update methods beyond. On the mono behavior, there's a start event and there's an update event. They're built in, and the start event will fire for every class that has it implemented and is a mono behavior derived class. So you can say, okay, I have a built-in way to initialize all my classes automatically. All I gotta do is add a little start method in there. I don't think it's a good way to go. I've avoided it most places in the code. Instead, I have one main object that has one start method. It calls the initialization of everything else, and it gets to specify exactly the order that things will be initialized in. So if one thing is a dependency of another, like it has to be initialized first, that one start method in the main object can take care of it. Similarly, with the update loops, you don't really have guarantees of when of the order in which the updates will be called and everything else. So I did a similar thing, and I put a lot of things that had update methods in what I call explicit update, which means you have to call it explicitly to make it happen. So the main object in its single update function calls everything that needs to update. There's exceptions, I guess. Sometimes you have some UI element that is so... Oh, I got hiccups. Always the hiccups. But it comes from bad posture. Talking with bad posture gives me hiccups. So if I just kind of sit up straight, I'll be fine. So there are some cases where there's objects that are so decoupled from everything else, and they have no worries about ever being coupled to something else, that it doesn't matter. Go ahead, do an update, and have Unity call it for you. But for the most part, I put them all under the main object update called explicitly. So you are seeing the right half chopped off a little bit. It's not too bad. You're not missing too much. I suppose I could manually resize it, but I don't think it's quite worth it. Alright, so in the player, got my meta menu working just fine. I corrected a few bugs related to starting up in a new player situation. This is all great. Okay, so we got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 levels. And I like them. I like these levels. I think they're good enough to stick around. I did fix one small issue with the lower basement. Boy, this is too touchy. I will have to adjust it so it's not so hard to land on one level. So I noticed the lower level didn't have an egg at the start. Now, the egg in these levels where you can't die doesn't really matter. But just for continuity, I wanted to have an egg everywhere. I also fixed two dark places where light wasn't reaching. Like over in this corner, it was dark. It's too early in the game to have it be difficult for the player to see things. I still might gripe a little bit that I can't know too clearly what the layout of this is over here. It's just a little bit muddled. There might be a little more light there, but I also added light up here. You can see this area better if you walk over here. It is the path to a bonus, but I don't want a lot of darkness in these early levels. Don't want confusion. This idea too with the bonuses that if I'm not careful, I can think, well, it's a bonus. It's okay for the challenge to be kind of unfair and hard to get to, and it's for advanced players, that kind of thing. I don't want to go too far into that mindset, because what I really want to do is make the bonuses be a properly tuned puzzle. So instead of just throwing some extra weirdly unfair, but the most persistent players can get it kind of thing, I just want to make it so that if there's someone who's a little bit more advanced, either from backtracking, they come back and they're more advanced at that point, or they're just really good at puzzles and they like puzzles a lot and they want more harder puzzles, that these will be good challenges. So the bonuses should be fun to get, not just some OCD completionist thing. Yep, exactly right. So what I'm used to making, Goose, is games where the easy people get left out. And on this one, I decided let's make it explicitly more accessible for everyone that likes puzzles a little, but they don't want to break their brain at it. But I know that other group very well, the ones that want to have their brains broken. Or I should say it takes a lot to break their brains. So, something for them too. How's it going? Are you off doing your little vacation with freelance work thing? There was a bug, player build only, where these letters were disappearing. Oh man, that sounds sweet. Just with nothing to do, you got nothing to do, just friggin' play a whole bunch of video games. Maybe get a little drunk while you're doing it. I don't know what your deal is, but yeah, it sounds nice. I love myself some Minecraft too. Yes, I had to redo these guys. I had to make them all not prefabs, or disconnect them from the prefab state. Unpack them. And I'm loving the player load times. I do think I want some kind of indicator, like around the blocks, a visual indicator when you've spelled something that affected something somewhere. Let me make a note of that. It's not critical for the first release, but it would be a nice refinement. Oh boy, it goes real slow though. Boy, that's something I'm noticing. Okay, so maybe things work really fast in the player, but everything else is very slow while it's playing. Okay, so let's see, blocks. If you spell a word, highlight effect around the word. Yeah. So I have gotten to the point where I can speed run these levels pretty quick. I'm pretty sure I'll get very sick of these levels after a while. Let's see. So I'm probably going to do a bunch of off stream today, and I'll show you why. So behind me, is it visible? No, it's not visible. I've got another laptop. Here, I'll turn this big screen on. I guess, no, it is visible over here. Okay. I've got this other laptop, Windows machine, up and running. And this does not make good streaming, but alright, I download the installer here. Because what I'm doing today is I'm trying to get the Windows player to work. And it's also very unenjoyable for me to come over to this machine that I'm not used to and fiddle around with it. And then I have to do things like, and this is so annoying, I have to go God, this is so annoying. Okay. press this. Extract all. So like one of my first problems here is the way I set myself up to shuttle builds across to the Windows machine is a Google Drive. It's slow. It's very slow. So one of the things I need to do today is set up some kind of network connection between the two that doesn't go through a third party. It's just on my own local network. And that's kind of like I walk over to a machine over here and fiddle with something on the Mac system to try to share a drive, and I go back over to the Windows machine and can I see that drive? Can I type in the URL to it to get to it and stuff like that? It's just the most boring kind of stream stuff possible, and I won't be looking at the chat window. And okay, so now the most beautiful thing that could happen is, and this will change my whole day, is if this player, when I run it right now, will actually, that is an option, Goose. It would still go through a third party, which would slow down the transfer a little bit, but since it's got some binary diffing type stuff in it, the GET protocol does, it wouldn't be too bad. I think it could maybe do something efficiently. But the player builds, they're like, they're not super large, but hundreds of megabytes. Oh, I see what you're saying. That makes sense. Yeah, if I can figure out the networking stuff so that like the various like built-in like firewall things on the Windows and Mac's machines and their sort of stubbornness about talking to a different network that is on a different OS. If I can figure out the stuff like that to get just a simple Git server hosted someplace, that's not a bad way to go. And I do like check everything into Git, like a local copy, but I don't have a Git server running at this point. But obviously I could. Okay, so if this works though, my whole day changes. My whole day changes to doing something more interesting. So first I gotta go to properties. I guess security. So annoying. Okay, maybe I'll run it one time. It'll probably block it. And a lot of the annoyance I have is just I'm just not used to like a Windows keyboard and how to do things with it and the operating system. Okay, Windows protected my PC. Thank you. Thank you so much for protecting me, not allowing me to do the things I want to do. Alright, so then now that I'm blocked, I think I can now go to the properties and I can unblock it. Alright, annoying. Everything on Windows is annoying for me right now. Alright, let's see. If it gets past this screen. Sometimes it'll just lock up on the screen, it'll just fail in some way, and then I have to look at the player log. Yeah, that's what it did. Alright. So that's why I'm doing off stream, because it's not stream friendly. And also you'll hear a lot of me swearing at Windows and yeah. Alright, so that's my stream for today. If I figure out some Windows nonsense, maybe I'll come back on again. But too much boring network configuration and not looking at the chat screen and swearing at Windows, and I'll just be a grumpy old man with my Windows machine today. Alright, stopping the stream. Goose, thanks for stopping by. Anybody else that's lurking, thanks for lurking. Stopping the stream.